Here's what they think about you. Here's what they think about you. Here's what they think about you. Here's what they think about you.
You got jealous when I got my own company, but I'm a man and ain't nobody helping me. Trying to sound like America most. You can yell all day, but you don't come close with no Vaseline.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Chadman and Randy Show. For those of you guys that don't know, I was in the military. I was in the Army for 13 years. Currently, I'm considered a veteran. And up until recently, I think it was probably this past month, I've decided to kind of put all that behind me. However, one thing about the veteran community is that opinions can be sometimes extremely narrow-minded for the most part. And, you know, one thing about this show, a lot of you guys listen, a lot of you guys know, is that I'm open-minded. I'm fully open to speaking my mind and to questioning things and to just giving my opinion, man. I mean, that's why we started the show, right?
Open mind and open mouth.
And it's important to me. Been a few topics that for the longest time, you know, I've kind of felt a certain way and I've kept it to myself. And I guess when I was so big into the veteran community and doing events and working with local veteran organizations and veteran groups, I kept my comments to myself, believe it or not. As much as I was open about stuff, there were certain things I kept to myself because I knew that the minute I said something, majority of my quote-unquote brothers and even sisters would take it the wrong way, and it would just, you know, create what I'm living right now. And recently I've been outspoken and shared my views on things. So a little back history real quick. I got out the Army in August of 2014, and before I was even out, I was in a warrior transition unit where they put guys who were getting medically retired. In my case, it was for PTSD and TBI. And I was fucking around on Facebook like I always do and came across a local vet here in town, and we started BSing. And by the time I got home, moved back to Bakersfield, he had introduced me to this entire veteran community that I didn't even really know existed here in Bakersfield. I was coming home thinking I was going to start a PTSD group and get veterans together, and I had no clue that shit was, for the most part, was already, I'm a late bloomer, I guess, right? I got out kind of late in the game. So anyways, I linked up with this veteran organization. I started doing this PT program. It's like a workout program with one of their directors. And that turned into me kind of helping out with, you know, every 2 weeks there'd be a group that got together and, you know, we'd do different functions. I was asked to speak at a few things, and I just got really close with a lot of people. And after a while, I was asked to become a veteran work study, which all that means is that for those of you guys that go to college, you know what I'm talking about. When you're a work study, you can use your tuition assistance to work at like your college, like in the library or the bookstore or some shit. Well, when you're using your GI Bill and getting BAH through your GI Bill, you can apply for a VA work study where you can work at like a Social Security office, you know, maybe I think a city library. And in this case, I went to go work as a work study with this veteran organization here in town. And man, 2015, we did I was part of a great group. We really raised a lot of money. In all honesty, I'm curious to see how much money we raised. Not to take any credit for it, but we actually raised a lot, I guess what I'm trying to say. Long story short, I was there for about probably 2 or 3 months, and I came up with the idea of starting a veteran podcast with the director there. And he was 100% on board. He thought it'd be a great idea, considering that I wanted to get into radio. And Overwatch Podcast was born. It really, truly, honestly was the first of its kind. There'd been other veteran podcasts out there, maybe old guys talking about shit, or, you know, veteran podcasts created by maybe a veteran organization here and there. But this particular one was, you know, unique because it brought 5 of us together. The team consisted of about 5 dudes, and we all had different stories and different views, and we wanted to help veterans out, talking about PTSD, talking about all kinds of stuff. And it kicked off pretty good locally. We had a pretty big following, and a lot of veterans supported us. We had a live podcast event here, and yeah, everything was going good. It was really cool. But the plan was to eventually have it kind of branch out and be its own thing. So, of course, me wanting to do this with the rest of my life, me wanting to get into podcasting, I had delusions of grandeur, I guess. I wanted to make Overwatch podcast big, the National Veteran Podcast. There should be no reason why Overwatch wasn't interviewing, Medal of Honor recipients that were making the news and shit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Politicians and, just talking about veteran-related topics outside of that organization, so we would be our own entity. Well, that wasn't going to happen. That was clear to me after a couple months. They just weren't going to let it go. It wasn't going to happen. I had a publicist that the producer of the show had actually got in contact with, and I approached the leadership at this organization and said, hey, look, man, we can get a publicist. There should be no reason why this podcast isn't on, like, the TV morning shows, Good Morning America, Fox and Friends, and we're out there raising awareness for stuff, interviewing people, talking about good topics. Well, it never happened. It's as if they just wanted to keep a grip on it. So I began to get more and more frustrated, you know what I mean?
Well, it delayed us, too, by months.
Yeah, I mean, because I always wanted to do what I'm doing right now, is to have my own show with somebody who is on board, and you and I can discuss things. And it delayed my personal plans for a long time, and it just got to the point where if you follow me on Facebook or on social media, you see how I talk. You see the things. I'm very opinionated. I'm not afraid to speak my mind. And it just got to the point where they were beginning to they claimed they were beginning to get phone calls about some of the things I was saying and maybe my profanity or I'm not sure what. And the thing is, like, I never even cussed a whole lot on that show, but it got to the point where, and I'll discuss more of it later, that I decided the best thing for me to do was to leave. And it would be best for me and it'd be best for them if I just kind of left. And, that was the first time. You ever quit a job or resigned or gave it 2 weeks in?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I've never done that, dude. Like, in the oil fields, I'd always get, fired or laid off. I never got fired, but I would, get laid off or let go because things were slow. But so this is the first time I left on good terms, and it was perfect. It was cool. They were on board with me doing my own thing. It was awesome. But, like I said, me being outspoken and open-minded, I fucking began to see things. I began to get notified by veterans around town. Veterans asking me because, you see, I was such a big part of that organization. I was one of the faces, whether they want to admit it or not. Or you go on their Facebook page and look, and go on mine and just check it out. Like, I was one of their faces. I was out there with 2 other vets doing all the videos, doing a lot of the fundraising, a lot of the different events. I was there right there with them for 99% of the stuff they were into. Like I said, I helped raise a lot of money with these other guys, which went to good causes. Anyway, so I began to notice some stuff, and recently they're putting an event on in a few months, and I began to question the way that event was being, I guess, promoted and advertised, and all I did was question it. And because I questioned it, it just kind of opened up a Pandora's box. All because I questioned it. For me, dude, when is it wrong, whether you're right, wrong, or indifferent, to question something? You know what I'm saying? Like, when does it become a bad move to just question something?
Well, we've discussed and said on here in the past that anything that can't be questioned is exactly the thing that should be questioned.
Right. And so I questioned it, and that kind of started burning bridges between me and 2 guys who I took as brothers and family. We were pretty close to each other. So then at the same time, locally we have a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you listening outside of Bakersfield can scroll through your Facebook feed and see all these people doing the 22 a day challenge. Aside from all this, I had been doing research on the 22 a day because, you see, as a combat vet, as an infantryman, I've gone out and I've seen a lot of suicide. I've lost 4 brothers, okay? Sergeant Brent Barnett, Specialist Eric Winnan, Specialist Knickerbocker, and most recently, Sergeant Cullen Mixon. 4 to suicide or drug overdose. The problem. But the 22 number was something that I was wanting to research and see the truth behind it. And as the more and more I began to look at the truth, the more and more I began to see that number's flawed. It's completely flawed. And, not to mention, after I just lost my 4th brother, I thought, what is this push-up awareness thing even doing? What is it doing? What is it really doing? Who's being saved? Well, okay, people are aware. Right, if you're not aware of veteran suicide, then you're living under a fucking rock. So now that people are aware, now that people are waking up to it, nothing's getting done. It seems like the behavior amongst most veterans is remaining the same. The drinking, the dysfunctional veteran, finger in the air mentality, fuck the government, fuck the VA. It's just this kind of negative mentality a lot of vets have, despite the fact of all the good that's going on. It seems like it's a revolving wheel. Nothing's changing. Fine, 22 a day. We get it. But nothing's happening. So I began to be more vocal about this. And yeah, being emotional after one of my brothers just died again, I started coming out. And people didn't quite like that. They thought that everything I was saying was directed at them specifically, when I was just trying to make it a point about the entire movement. So those two things combined have put me in the seat right now I'm in, where I think in the past 2 days I've been unfriended by about, probably, if I put a number on it, about 12 people, which is fine. Adios, bye. You want to be like that, cool. I think I said it on the last episode. If you don't like what I say, delete me, block me. They did, cool. Perfect, works out best for everyone. But then there's rumors going around that I'm bad-mouthing this organization. Well, I'm not. I'm simply speaking my opinion. And so today, on this show, we're going to talk about nonprofits. We're going to talk about veteran nonprofits. We're going to talk about 22 a day. I got the actual research and the numbers pulled up right here. And I'm going to post all the links to this episode, and you guys can see for yourself. Everyone listening out there can give it a good listen, and then go look at the research yourself and come to your own conclusion. This, that, or the other. This isn't an episode where I'm taking jabs at anybody. This isn't an episode where I'm trying to get people to not donate to anything. I'm just speaking my mind, being open, and saying what I feel is important. Because in the end, veterans are still dying, and people are donating money to a cause, and if people are donating money not just to one organization, but to numerous organizations, and numbers aren't changing, people are still...
Awareness without action is pointless.
Exactly. That's my argument. But woe is me. I'm the bad guy. I'm the villain. So I have a very special guest in the studio, a man who I met while working at that organization. It's funny because for a while, we were pretty close, and then working at that specific place, we actually had our differences and ended up able to squash it and see the light of the matter. And I guess you can say both of us are victims to the way that I guess things were ran at that particular place. And maybe not victims is the word to use, but both of us are definitely on the other side of the aisle. So anyways, the guest today is my brother Jordan Allman.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so why don't you real quick tell everybody listening, just real brief, man. You don't got to get into it total, but you were Army for how long?
The medic in the Army for 5 years.
Yeah.
And did 3 years at Fort Hood as a medic in a scout platoon, and then 2 years at Walter Reed.
So you get out, and you're floating around Bakersfield doing, whatever, going to school and what, right?
Yeah, I was just going to school.
And you were approached to, become an IT guy over there?
Yeah. I had no idea who the organization was. I just, one day...
Most veterans in town really don't. It's funny.
Yeah, had no idea who they were. I went and talked to my counselor one day at the Vet Center, and he just introduced me to the current director of programs over there. Mm-hmm. And then they told me about the work-study program and gave me a job.
Yeah, and it was cool, man. And you helped out with the podcast a lot when you came on, as far as, and nothing's ever going to be perfect. You're going to bring people together on a situation that's like new, and everyone's running a podcast. I think at the time it was frustrating for everyone because, I was expecting things to work one way. They were expecting things to work one way. You were new, trying to get. So looking back in retrospect, I could see where a lot of the initial frustrations came, I guess, with new people and stuff, but it worked out good. We were doing some good stuff over there.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I look at whether it's the different things we put together, the different videos we did, the different events. It seems like there were a lot of people showing up to these things, and we were doing a good job. It seems like everything was working pretty honky-dory. Here's when I left, man. There was a meeting that we went to, and there was a PowerPoint presentation, and they switched to a slide, and there was a literal, for those of you veterans out there, you know how a chain of command is usually illustrated as like a graph form, or like, you look at like the outline of what a chain of command looks like. There was a chain of command now there, and it was pretty much in our face, like, this is how things are going to be now. To me, that was kind of a turnoff. I don't know about you.
Well, looking at it, I saw the writing on the wall. As soon as I saw it, I was like, all right, these guys are going to let me go.
Really? And, you knew then?
Oh, I knew. It was 3 days before they let me go. I saw it coming. It was like I no longer had anyone that was under me. Not to say I really had anyone that was under me, but I mean, I didn't have anyone I was reporting to either. And then someone who I had taken over half of his job was now staying instead of, leaving for his new gig.
Yeah, that was so, and that's fine. That they can do whatever they want. That they're their own entity, and they have every right to do that. What really was, I think, the final nail in the coffin for me is at the end of that. Notice we're not, people want to find out who we're talking to. They can just go research and look at pictures of us and know who we're talking about. We're not going to mention any names on here because we've never mentioned any names on this show. Like we don't.
Not in a negative.
We just kind of say things the way they are, and people can guess and figure out who they are. So there won't be any names mentioned because
it's pretty obvious who we're talking about.
It's pretty obvious. At the end of that meeting, it was their president, who is, I guess, second chain of command, who was giving this whole presentation without even looking at me. And that particular day, he didn't even shake my hand or anything. So clearly, he was upset with me about some stuff I'd been posting on Facebook, which I can't even remember what it was. It was just me being opinionated and saying how I feel and speaking my mind. He said something along the lines of, and those of you who are out there on social media, you need to understand that everything you post and everything you say reflects this organization. Okay, fine, I guess, to a certain degree, yeah, sure. I mean, not necessarily. I'm not out there saying, oh, my views are reflected upon this organization, but whatever, okay, fine. And then he said, so I just want to let you know that if we've been getting complaints and if donations stop, then not only can we not only can we fulfill our mission to helping veterans, but we may have to let some people go on the salary because we don't have the money coming in, and now you're affecting lives. I got a guilt trip over the things I was saying in regards to paying people salaries and stuff. So I knew at that moment, I decided right then at that meeting when it convened, I walked into the CEO, I don't even know the title.
Executive director.
Whatever. I walked into her office and I said, look, I appreciate everything you guys have done for me, which is true. As I sit here right now, I appreciate the help that they gave me. I've never said otherwise. And I said, but I think it's best if I just walk away. I'm not going to be renewing my contract as a work study, and I'm going to be walking away from Overwatch. I think it's best. I wish you guys the best of luck. It was totally mutual. I think they were kind of relieved in a way. And that was that. And then 2 days later, you call me telling me that they fired you.
Yeah, no, and I've done a lot of thinking about it, and just the way it went down. I feel
Why
like
would they fire you?
They told me conflicting personalities. And I've done a lot of thinking about that. That meeting you just mentioned. They had me address the staff, and after I addressed the staff, nobody had any idea what I was talking about.
I didn't. I was hoping it wasn't directed at me. I mean, all you said was that you came into work not to make friends, to do your job, help veterans, then go home.
Right, exactly. It's at the end of the day, that's any job.
That's any job, right?
And I told them, I wasn't there for the money. I don't need it. Get paid plenty through school and disability, right. So that was extra. I was there to do a job and help out veterans.
Right.
So address the staff, and after I addressed the staff after this meeting, everyone there came up to me and said, "What are you talking about? We have no idea what you're talking about."
Yeah.
Then everyone went off on their own ways later that week, and they pulled me in the office of the executive director and whatever his title is now. We'll just say the group guy.
Yeah.
And just told me it's conflicting personalities. So I asked them, well, you say it's that you wish I had addressed the staff different, but no one knew what I was talking about. So where's this coming from? They said it's coming from the board.
The board.
If it's coming from the board, why didn't I talk to the board? So and I've done a lot of thinking. There was one day back in December, working in the vet center. I kind of I let my boss have it. Go in and talk to her and find out the guy that was leaving wasn't leaving anymore. I just told her, you know what, if he's here, I don't know if I can work here anymore.
Right.
Looking back on it, there's a conflicting personality.
Right.
Wrote it out. They cut me a check to leave. So
let's just get into specifics for a moment. When you said that you didn't want to be a part of the crowd and be friends and stuff, first of all, there's nothing wrong with that. You go there to get a job. I stopped drinking in July of last year, and within 2 weeks, you might remember this. When I came out to everyone, I said, "Look, I'm stopping drinking." I was treated differently. Now, because my last weekend drinking, I acted up. I was drunk Chad. Randy, you know all about drunk Chad.
Never met him.
Never met him. Yeah. Well, I mean, I was the type of person that I'm open about it, man. Like, I don't fucking hide anything. When I drink, I get aggressive, I get angry, and I say and might do things that are a little out of line, which is why I stopped. And
well, I think too, though, like what your problem is it's due to your medical problem, and your body starts to begin to learn that there's going to be a problem here, and with your head injuries, it shuts down. You begin to shut down, and you're either going to pass out or black out because it's with prior experience.
Right.
You know?
So the last weekend I drank was with them and with this local fraternity here in town of combat vets. They have a bar at their clubhouse.
They keep beer in the fridge at work.
There's alcohol at all the events. At the fair, they were approached at the fair talking about they can't drink at their booth.
Night one, there was a complaint about people drinking
about
in
the
the
staff
booth.
of this organization drinking at the event. I mean, they do an awful lot of drinking. Go on their Facebook page and look at every single meet and greet. It's at a brewery, or everything that they do when there's either it's movie night or an event. Before the movie night, they meet at Cape Hassa, or they meet at Red Robin, depending on what theater they go to, and they drink. There's alcohol involved in everything that they do.
I see no issue with meeting at Cape Hassa or Red Robin.
But for somebody like in my situation,
right,
or anybody who just maybe doesn't want to be around that, it becomes a problem.
Well, it's not even just a before events thing. You could go find them at a certain brewery that's right around the corner from their office.
I think I was there last night.
2-3 times a week.
Right, they're there
during the workday.
Right. So yeah, exact lunch and stuff.
Yeah, during lunch.
And that's not a lie. That is not a lie. That's the absolute truth. Okay, there's no reason to hold it back. That's the truth. And so when I said I'd quit drinking, they were a little upset about how I acted that weekend. Fine, I give them that. A lot of people were upset when I drink. But then it just rode out for a long time, like, oh, all of a sudden, Chad's not drinking, and I began to get kind of treated differently by some of the other vets there, and I didn't understand why. I kept asking, what did I do? Why is everyone mad at me? I remember I kept asking you, did I piss somebody off? What's up? I don't really know why, but I chose to not drink, and to not drink around specific crowds, it's kind of a problem.
A lot of people then make it focus on themselves when people aren't doing that around them.
And I was told that by the executive director. Well, maybe when you stop drinking, makes them look at themselves. That's literally coming from the horse's mouth. And so I wrote it out as long as I could, and it just didn't work. And there is a lot of alcohol involved in stuff that they do, man.
There's just an issue there. Just saying that, like, you're making them take a look at themselves. How's that your problem? I mean, this is the same person that told me, or that asked me, to be less professional at work. She came to me and said, "Hey, we need you to be a little less professional."
What does that even mean?
You tell me.
I mean, we'll get into text messages later on about professionalism.
Just gotta walk up to people and fart on them at their desk, put your ass up against their backs.
What was I supposed to do? Not come in and do my work?
When I was hired on by, at that time, the director of programs and stuff at that time, I had been having a drinking problem. It was noticeable. I'd been, pulled aside a couple times about my drinking and whatnot. And he told me straight out, this is what fucking really boggles my mind. He sat me in that office, me and him, and he says, "Let me just tell you, though, as a friend and as a brother, the first time you come here drunk, I'm going to take you outside. I'm going to beat your ass myself. I swear on my children, my unborn child." He told me that in his office. Now, here's what's so fucking hypocritical about that comment, because remember, everybody who's associated with that organization, everything they say and do represents that organization. So he told me that, coming from him and the organization, yet the next program director that I think is currently there right now shows up to work drunk consistently. When I was there, that dude was showing up reeking of alcohol consistently. But there's a hierarchy involved here. It's allowable because that person, that's just that person. I get angry and aggressive when I drink, so it's not okay, but it's okay for him because he's him.
Well, what's more detrimental to donations, a shitty Facebook post or public drunkenness?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not the one to ask. I'm not the...
that doesn't make a lot of sense, but...
Right.
the frustration level just kept coming around. And yeah, they do a lot of good, man. Yeah, they've helped a lot of vets. You know, I was a part of it. You were a part of it. We saw a lot of vets help. They've, you know, helped guys with homes. They've helped guys with cars. They gave me a grant when I got out. I'm very grateful for. This is all fine and dandy, but just because somebody does good, you know, doesn't mean that the bad they do have to go brushed under the rug and some shit, or the bad that people associated with them do has to go brushed under the rug. That doesn't give a fucking free pass. You remember when we were in the Army, every Friday or before every holiday weekend, we'd get a safety brief, and you'd have your colonel or your sergeant major stand in front of your unit, and they would tell you, doesn't matter how good we've been doing, all it takes is one wrong to make this unit look bad.
Yeah.
And everybody be like, fuck, I don't want to be the guy to fuck this up. Unit's been doing good. No DUIs, no public intoxication. I don't want to be that guy. Don't be that guy. Fort Richardson, where I was at, had a program say, don't be that guy. Well, you know what, man? The same goes for this kind of thing, especially when veterans are working for you, man. And it's just frustrating because here I was labeled and told these things, yet it's allowable for other people to be doing that shit. You know what I mean? And then when I go to question something, suddenly I'm outspoken. I get phone calls from people. You know, I was involved in another veteran here in town that was running for a local office. I was going to be on his campaign, and I was going to be like his social media guy for his campaign. Well, after all this shit came out, somebody with this organization, I don't know who, but somebody called him. I have my guest, called him. I guess informed him, which, first of all, let me just stop right there. Who even needs to be called about that shit? Why does somebody need to be called? Why does he need to be called if he has absolutely nothing to do with this? But she calls him, or they call him, and I get asked to get taken off the campaign because if he wants donations and fundraising and money from these people, and I'm involved in the campaign, then that's not going to work. So I was asked to leave, dude. You know what that is? That's a fucking mafia move, dude. Is that not? Is that not like a strong arm? We have the power. We got the money. Brush him out, or that's it? I
mean, it's a threat. It's like terrorism, threat, blackmail. If you don't do something, there's a reaction.
And this person is also my alcohol sponsor. Like, you know, I don't go to AA, so this is somebody I went to as a mentor. This person he's important to my life and to my sobriety from alcohol. And he tells me, well, you can be anonymous on it. Fuck that. No, man. So that's what I'm dealing with, man. And so when you get into nonprofits, let's just veer the conversation away from them now that we're kind of...
Well, really quick, can we get on to something, too, about that?
Yeah.
What were you told about what you have on your arms?
What do you mean, my arms?
Your tattoos.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And
oh, yes. Let's get into that. So I got tattoos. Tattoos are fine when you're at these events for these people, but I dye my hair, and I have a mohawk. Sometimes I have lines carved in my hair and different things. I was told to wear a hat. I was told to don't show up with these certain things. Now, if you're a veteran organization and you have veterans working for you who have a certain way of expressing themselves, why should that be hidden?
Well, I mean, didn't you guys go and sign up to protect that right of freedom of speech, freedom to do shit like that?
I mean, they're talking about uniform policies and how to present themselves. They don't want to have some crazy-looking veteran with tattoos and red hair and a mohawk at their booth because somebody might look at them and say, ooh, that's kind of, what is that going on over there? You know what? I don't want to donate. If that's your mentality, then first of all, you shouldn't want somebody's money who's going to not donate based on somebody's looks.
Something that petty if they don't want to, give somebody a help or a home or, power or anything.
And first of all, what kind of person is going to look at somebody and say, ooh, instead of $50, I'm only going to donate 10?
Well, and the fact is, in this society now, I don't have any tattoos. I'm in the fucking minority now. It's not you guys that have them.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. I never agreed with that whole wear a hat. You're the personality on the podcast that we were doing.
Well, what
do they expect?
Well, they told me, it's pretty cool for the podcast, so anything podcast related, be you. But when it comes to like fundraisers or shooting events or whatever, why don't you wear a hat? And I took so much offense to that, man, because this is me. Like, this is what I choose to do to myself. This is how I express myself. This is me. I fought for this right. It means a lot to me to be out and to do this, and you're asking me to cover it up so you look better.
I mean, there's a lot looking back on that I don't agree with that place. That's one. Hell, I don't agree with how employee relationships went in the office. I mean, I was approached to hack a certain someone's email because they were having infidelity issues. And
Like, I mean,
like,
what is that?
like,
What
really?
is that?
Like,
Could you imagine that going on at, like, let's say, Era or
No.
one of these oil companies? Could you imagine, fuck, man, where you work, Randy, somebody coming to you and say, hey, look, man, you're the IT guy. I need you to check this out because, there's something going on with infidelity and we want to get... What the fuck is that, man?
I mean...
Is this an organization, a company, or is this it boggles the mind, man. Them aside, because that is fucking crazy, man. That's
I mean, yeah, it's nuts. Like, I got to the point where I was just so stressed out being there because of stupid stuff like that. I was like, you know what? When they let me go, all right.
It's funny when
I haven't thought twice about it. Like, all right, you let me go. I'm happy.
I was asked to go online or to not go online and say fuck this politician or fuck this or cuss or be outspoken, and then I was, I wanted to be in that fraternity so bad, dude. There's a fraternity that's there, and there's some great guys there, and I'm really kind of saddened, man, that some of these guys have recently chosen to unfriend me and delete me and shit because I had no beef with these guys, and they really are some good dudes, and some, most of them. And I wanted to be a part of that. Getting out the Army, this is a brotherhood. I get a cool vest. There's a clubhouse, and they go and they do cool shit together. And it's like, man, this is what I want. I want to earn my way here. You have to earn your membership and everything. I got that. And, dude, I wanted to be that. They have a fucking bar at their clubhouse. Full-out bar. I was like, this is cool, man. Fuck yeah. My problem is I get aggressive when I drink. And I was told to give it 6 months and try again because I got drunk and acted up. Yet other people, certain people in this group are out there constantly fucking getting drunk and doing stupid shit. I mean, taking their clothes off and fucking walking around people's houses naked and jumping in beds with old ladies. But it's a joke to them. But you get a little dude, 5'6", 150 pounds.
A little more than just an old lady. It was.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, I got it. It wasn't just any old lady. I understand. But yeah, you get a fucking 150 pound, 5'6" dude.
I mean,
getting drunk and saying things, and that suddenly becomes a huge problem. What?
You're not the only one. There's just issues with, like you're saying, the things they do. I mean, there's a certain veteran that got married that there was an incident that happened between the secretary and the executive director. They all know what happened. No, I'm not gonna broadcast it, but it's nothing appropriate. They're both married. What happened? What happened is definitely not appropriate. And do they want the public knowing that?
I mean, after all, everything you do and say represents the organization, right? So it's like, where do you fucking draw the line? Why is it okay for one but not for some? So I'm sitting here getting text messages in the morning yesterday from somebody high in their chain of command. They're one of their presidents or whoever it is. I don't even know his role.
He's president of the board.
But this guy used to be a sergeant major in the Army, and he texts me, and look, I'll show it to you right now. First of all, if I'm going to text somebody out the blue, haven't spoke to or seen in a while, I'm not going to say, call me. First of all, fuck you, dude. Okay, who are you that you're just going to text me out the blue and say, call me? Like, I need to go back. I'm not a fucking dog, dude. I'm just going to come running to you when you text me. You might have been a sergeant major. I might have only been a sergeant, but that was yesteryears, man. And that don't mean shit now. And that's the problem, is that these people think because of what they did in the military that somehow gives them status in the real life. So whether he wanted to squash stuff or, I'll tell you what, if he would have reached out to me a little differently yesterday, I might have been like, okay, cool, let's go meet up, let's talk. But the fact that that's the way he did it, and then he goes on to quote prior episodes, Randy, that we did. We just did the episode about haters and copiers, and we talked about Johnny Manziel going, to Coachella and doing ecstasy or whatever he was on, and going to Coachella in a ball pit, and I said, well, shit, if I had $30 million in the bank and $1 million to spend, I'd probably be doing drugs at a show too. Like,
we're all adults.
In other words,
good for him.
In context of the show is what I said. Out of my mind.
Running wild.
So this guy texts me some shit, and he says, well, I don't know what my daughter would think of me about using profanity over the internet and jumping into and talking about doing drugs at concerts. Like, first of all, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to label me somebody, dude, because I cuss on my podcast that I pay for and I run, and I want to joke about doing drugs?
Right.
Like, who the fuck are you, dude? It's just judgmental.
And we're all adults. Who is he to judge you about it?
And I'm just like, this guy's got a lot of fucking nerve, man. And yeah, I cuss on profanity because it just goes to show how out of touch you are with social media and the social environment.
My question is
podcasting, dude.
My question is, have they not learned from the past? I mean, there's
because
there's a whole string of email chains
Randy, I'm sorry, man. Randy's just sitting here like, what the fuck?
There's a whole string of email chain, a whole email chain that's
we're
from
not
the board.
We're not
and
the first
this ain't the
one.
first time this has happened.
No, it's happened with 2 other guys who, by the way, let's take a good look at these guys. So maybe in the first situation where the guy who was a big part of them.
Maybe you went out a little bit.
I mean,
the
you
wrong
weren't
way,
even
but-
allowed to say this guy's name in their office, dude. They called him fucking Voldemort. He was so hated amongst these people that if you said his name, you had to put money into a jar, which was always empty because they just never said his name. And, I mean, that's a pretty hated person. I can only imagine what they're going to do for us. But they hated this guy so much that you couldn't even say his name. So I understand there was a difference of opinion. It was like all over the news locally. It was a big deal.
You can still Google it and find it.
Yeah,
on
you
the
can still
internet.
Google it and find the links and stuff. What happened? And whatever. It was a dispute over how things, money or whatever. I don't know. I was gone. I wasn't here. But that was a big deal. And then the next guy that they kind of like wrote off was another dude that was on their board. Another amputee who right now has absolutely broken through the roof with success in his fitness arena and what he does.
It's crazy. He kind of warned me too, and the day I got let go, I texted him. He's like, "Hey man, I hate to tell you, but I told you how those people were."
Yeah, he told me the same thing at the fair. Remember, he came by the fair
Yeah,
and he
we
talked,
both talked
and
to him.
you introduced me to him, and he told me straight out. He goes, "Man, just be very wary of these people." And at the time, I'm like, "Well, these people are my friends. These people are
Right.
What do you mean, dude?" And I was like, "Okay, I'll take your advice. I kind of see what you're saying." And
I think the good thing about you guys doing this too, and both airing it out and with the others, is at times people have probably thought you paranoid, have thought you making it about you, where you guys are comparing notes and coming up with the similar shit. Because I've heard like him about with shit talking about, like me
Right.
and him talking, and you're like, oh, like there's times where you go, this motherfucker's thinking, a little paranoid or something, thinking and to hear that you guys beating off each not beating off each other, that was the wrong word, but
man,
Hey, those
But-
days are over. Okay.
but slinging it back and forth with the comparable shit that it's
Well, we're not the only ones either. There've been
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I
countless
know-
other on
So
social media that I've seen.
I know the
recently.
other two that you're talking about
Yeah.
too right now.
Well, those
so-
are the two that was a part of them. But see, what really got this ball rolling with everything is that, and I just talked to one of their guys recently last week, who I thought was a brother of mine.
Well,
somebody
speaking
close.
speaking of this guy, this is the same guy that would come to you and I and tell us that our boss was a snake.
Yes.
That
Yes.
tell us this guy's a snake.
Hey,
And
there's a guy that's close, that was close to me and Jordan, who had his own veteran program, and he brought it to them, and now they run it now. So he had his own thing he started, and then he brought that to this organization. They now run it and control. It's now their program, right?
I mean, how many assets do they have? That's one of the only assets they have now.
Right.
That's
So he brings it to him, and he tells me and you, man, this guy's a snake. Man, he told me recently that there's somebody out of country that works for them, apparently, the guy we were referring to that left, who, told him straight out, hey, now, in your program, now that it's here, it falls under me. He told me that while I was there trying to help him with Overwatch.
well, this is the same guy that I mean, we all had our issues with him. I had my issues with him. I said I wasn't going to be able to work there if he was working there. The same guy that came out last week on their first episode of the year for the new podcast that they're doing. Same podcast, but new group of people came out and said bold-faced lie, the last episode we recorded.
There was audio issues.
It's no good.
Yeah,
There's audio issues.
Yeah, where we had an interview with a certain
They're having
special operations guy.
Yeah.
There was an audio issues with that.
There's no audio
but that's
issues.
that's his line. As the guy that was really in charge of Overwatch, I created it. That intro they're using right now, I guarantee they're going to change it after this. I wrote that intro. The Metallica music, the drum beat from We Were Soldiers, I did that. I wrote that. Okay? So they go in, they change the crew of Overwatch, and I hope it does well. I hope veterans listen to past episodes and present ones and do good stuff to it. But he goes and he says, we had audio issues, and we couldn't have this guest. That was his line for everything. We interviewed 3 separate episodes where we had female veterans come in, and
I mean, actually, one of those there was some audio issues.
there was some issues on the one. You're right. Let's be fair here. But then because the other ones didn't air, it was like, well, we really didn't like that. Let's just say there was audio issues. And I'm like, okay.
I love that that's the go-to, but you called me after they let me go and said, hey, they're looking for this, and I don't have it. Well, I told you.
Yeah.
If they want it up, all it takes is a phone call. I've got it. There's no audio issues. None. I've listened to it. Does
it sound better than our Making a Murderer podcast?
Yeah, that was it. But
yeah,
man,
so there's no issues there.
But here's the problem, and anyone listening right now is probably thinking to themselves like, damn, dude, what are these guys doing? The reason we're voicing our opinions and voicing our concerns about this is because if you're going to parade around a city or around a country as an organization that does all this good and that is out there and you're God's gift to veterans, and everybody from politicians to local companies and all these great people around town and city are going to donate to you. If you're a big one like Wounded Warrior Project and Toby Keith and all these celebrities are going to back you up, then you better make sure that every single level of your embodiment is crystal clean. I mean, after all, you did it with me. They did it with me. They said, hey, you got to watch your Facebook post, but yet it's okay for this other behavior to go on. It's okay for this, that, and the other to occur because, this is this person.
Well, they wanted you nothing to do with this show.
No, they wanted nothing to do with it. Of course
they
not.
told you couldn't, right? Didn't they?
What do you mean?
This show. Our show.
Like,
they told you no. They didn't want you doing it.
When I was there?
Yeah, there were concerns.
I was... What was it? Like, what was being said?
Oh, there were concerns about you having a show.
Oh,
Just
because...
the same thing.
Because for a while I was going to be doing both.
Whatever.
That's what I'm saying.
Just whatever you were saying, they were saying was...
There was, which is probably what he was referring to at that meeting when he said anything you say on social media or on whatever. It's probably what he meant. Because for a while I was going to do my show and Overwatch, and I'm pretty sure that was an issue. But fucking, I mean... I'm sorry if that bothers you. I'm gonna do it regardless, and I'm doing it now. I mean, here's the thing, man. They want to have this guy call me with threatening text messages, make these like critical assessments of me through a text, talking about I don't know how my daughter would think of me. Well, you know what, dude? You don't do a podcast. I do a podcast, and this is what podcast hosts do. We speak our minds. We're open. That's why podcasts exist. We cuss. It's profanity. I can't help you with how your daughter feels about you. My daughter hates me right now, but I'm pretty sure, she likes the fact that I'm out there doing something I enjoy. I'm happy. Why is it bad, dude?
I mean, if he's worried about you cussing, he's the most professional sergeant major I've ever met in my life.
Exactly. Let's veer the conversation away from them, man. They're going to attack us after this, I'm pretty sure. I'm actually expecting it. But,
be my guest. They don't have my phone number.
Well, no, I'm talking. Yeah, that's what sucks.
I changed my number the minute I left there.
But here's what's funny is that they're probably going to go and use all their resources to defend themselves and make themselves look like, Jesus himself created them. But which I guarantee you some of them there believe that. Randy,
that's also a waste of your money as well.
What?
To spend resources to defend yourself from this fucking show.
I know. Yeah, I know. Well, hey, it is what it is. But let's talk about the bigger problem, I think, because with Wounded Warrior Project, we'll name this organization nationally. You see this problem happen with nonprofits. With these nonprofit organizations, you see it. It's common. It seems like in the beginning there's a lot of heart and soul that gets put into it. A lot of, to quote the person who started the organization we were associated with, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears are put into it. And it helps a lot of veterans. Okay, cool. But then at what point, Randy, does this shit start to lose control?
When there's bureaucracy and when people become full-time employees. Because then it's not as much about helping, I don't think, as much about your cause. It's about people keeping their jobs.
So, we'll just say this. The executive director never took a salary. She still doesn't
but I'm saying below.
You had other
people
like
below.
I had a salary.
Right, the previous...
Three
we're
other
not even
guys.
talking about them. I'm talking about just...
No, right.
Anybody.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there because we...
Yeah, I'm just talking like nonprofits in whole.
These Wounded Warrior Project, they parade out veterans that have visible injuries.
Well, I mean, shit, what was Red Cross?
Because you need something to get people to see so that they can...
They're playing off someone's sympathy. Like, you talk about the organization we worked for, there was a sponsor, and we'll call him a sponsor. He was starting a project to donate money, and our executive director recommended, hey, take out someone who's got a visible injury. You want to play off people's sympathy.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing.
How many people want to... You want to be someone's...
Right, and I can see where a 5'6", 150-pound dude with red hair doesn't exactly fulfill that mission.
Exactly.
Right? So I know that, and I knew that early on. For me, it started coming along the lines of like, well, you're the non-visible injury guy.
Right.
You got the PTSD and the mental issue.
We're gonna have to get you a helmet, and some bubble wrap, and
like fuck, dude. Like put me in parade me around like the dude from Silence of the Lambs on a dolly with my mouth covered. Like, I mean, like.
But it's the same model that the SPCA uses when you see Sarah McLachlan singing "In the Arms of the Angels" and showing droopy dog puppies and shit.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you see it.
Right. Exactly.
You see that, and it just becomes like this sympathy. Well, I didn't like the fact that was going on, man, because I mean, I think that. I understand you need that to fulfill that mission, but at the same time, there are different ways to go around it. And I just didn't like the fact that like veterans are useful to them when they're useful to them, but then when they're done, it's like, okay, we don't like this about you. Bye. Here's the thing, dude, is that when veterans are contacting me because I left and asking me, hey man, I applied and tried to get a work study. How come they're not calling me back? Well, because they don't see anything useful in you. That's why. That's why, dude. You're not useful to them. This particular person, maybe they might think you're not the smartest guy for them, you know what I'm saying? Or they can't manipulate you in a way that they want, that's going to serve their purpose. Or another thing is the shooting events, man. They do these shooting events out here, okay, at all the fundraisers and stuff, at the gun range outside of town. One veteran hit me up, he's like, hey man, I've asked a couple times. Well, dude, go on the Facebook page. If you know who we're talking about, go on their Facebook page and go back and look at the past 2 years of shooting events. You're going to begin to see a trend. They bring everybody from that fraternity there. There might be one or two new veterans.
It was like that for multiple events. There was a certain veteran that I got told to pull off the list for events once I started training to take over for the director of program development job. Guy would apply for something. They'd say, just put him just in case. He applies for everything. He doesn't need to go.
Right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Then we talked to another work study that's working there with us, and he says, "Oh yeah, they always kick him off. They don't let him go."
Yeah. It's always the same people. Go look at all their pictures. Look, it's the same people going to these events. They cater to the same crowd, the same particular, and just like people have hit me and messaged me up, and I can back this up with like literal screenshots of these conversations. Veterans in town are like, yeah, I knew early on. They're very cliquey over there. Or it's like the popular kid. It's like the popular table at school, at high school. Veterans, people are beginning to catch on, man. Yeah, they do a lot of good, yes. But people are beginning to catch on. People are beginning to notice shit. And now that I'm saying things, and now that I'm coming out with some of the shit, and now you're coming out. And
well, I've heard from veterans, too. There's a guy I go to class with, and he came to me and said, hey, they're ruining my marriage. Like, his wife works for him. He came to me and said, you know what? These people are always going out drinking, trying to get my wife involved, contacting my wife at inappropriate times, and it's having a strain on my marriage.
Like, imagine if you worked at a bank, dude, and that shit was going on.
Right.
Your wife comes home from work, phone's ringing at late hours. Come out drinking. What are you doing? Oh, my God. Like, hey, want to come drink with us? Like, no, dude, like, I'm done for my work for the day. It's time for me to go home to my family. Right?
Right.
Like, and that's where you were. So
and just to clarify for you guys, too, you're not doing this as a shot. You're doing this so that maybe, like we said about the quit drinking, for them to take a look at themselves, correct some shit so that they are doing good for the veterans. Because at the end of the day, you guys want people to get their help. You don't want to, like, destroy the organization.
No.
Right, yeah.
No,
I just wanted to clarify that so it's not a straight...
I had my shot. I could have destroyed the organization if I wanted to. I was the only one with access to social media. I had access to...
Could have done a slash and burn on your
social
way out
media, website, their database of veterans.
I could have,
like you said, slash and burn on my way out.
Throw a meat spin up on...
Randy, we're close to a really good radio host here in town. We can contact him at any time, and I could say, do you want to hear some shit? I could start dropping names.
Right.
I mean, we've mentioned a few things.
No, I was just clarifying. I know. I just wanted to clarify for everybody out there.
Right.
You're not trying to do a personal attack.
No, we could have. And you know what? The reason I think Jordan and I haven't decided to do this is because they do good there. There are veterans who go to them that need help with financial matters. There are veterans who go there who need, a marriage retreat with their wife, or whatever it is that this organization helps them with that will benefit veterans. I am a recipient of that. Like, they help me out. Okay, but you gotta stop fucking pretending like you're the be all end all. And any time, whether it's the 2 previous guys that they let go before me and you, or me and you, anytime somebody thinks differently than you or wants to voice their opinion or question something, whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent, you can't just fucking bombard them with text and start fucking trying to shush them up so that you don't so that you're not affected. Take a good look in the mirror. That's all we're saying, right?
Yeah, I got no issues. I haven't talked to any of them.
No,
I haven't tried anything, and for all I know, there's still parts I could. I mean,
of course,
I have no desire to.
I mean, I have no desire to. If they want to come out after this is aired and be like, "Fuck that, they're fucking making up lies," and you know what, dude, and if they want to take shots, you know what they do, man? They like to have private. Some of these veterans associated with these groups, man, they have private Facebook pages and they make jokes about people and you know. They'll take fucking snapshots of people and or screenshot people's posts or pictures, and they'll fucking make jokes because it's all cute and fun, right? But if I find out that things are being done vindictively against me as a result of this, yeah, I'll have no choice. But I don't want that. I want things to be as is. I want this episode to put out plain in public for everyone listening who knows who we're talking about that, yeah, I questioned some things. Maybe I was wrong.
I mean, there's a reason it's May, and we stopped working there in January.
Right.
And it's May now, and we haven't
said
or done anything.
It's been 5 months, 6 months. It's been 5-6 months. But you know, maybe I questioned something about an upcoming event. I felt kind of bad. I felt kind of differently than they did about it. They explained where they came from. I still don't agree with the event and the way it's being ran, just for my own reasons. But I'm entitled to think that, and I'm entitled to question it.
I've asked some people about that too. I mean, I've just recently met another. I call him a group guy. Yeah, I asked him. He said there's no way he'd ever do that. Never. And so
let's be honest. Okay, there's an event coming up in June, and they're charging $200 a plate at this restaurant.
Right.
And to hear somebody's story, and this particular individual has a pretty cool story. I mean, you're talking about a guy who I interviewed him for Overwatch. It's that last episode Jordan and I were referring to earlier, and you know, I just don't see the point. Like, me and the other veterans that were there, we never charged.
So hold on, no. But if that podcast that was released that has audio issues, then there'd be no point to pay for the $200 a plate.
It hasn't been released yet.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If it was released, there'd be no point.
We talked about it.
We talked about it.
No, but I mean, in their point,
in
a lot of their instance, that it would not benefit them to release it.
Here's my point: is that what veteran do you know, Jordan, that can afford to just dump $200?
I can't.
You know,
I'll tell you right now, I can't afford
to go hear this particular veteran speak. Who was pretty cool, high up there in special operations.
How many people right now in today's society economy can afford $200 to go?
Well, I was told when I asked.
They want a certain group of people.
When I questioned this event, I was told, well, they're targeting deeper pockets. That's a literal, to-quote response in a text message. They're targeting deeper pockets. Okay, fine. You're targeting deeper pockets, but did you ever think maybe a lady who just wants to donate $10 a month, maybe she wants to go hear this guy speak, you know, or maybe your everyday veterans might want to meet this guy, and I guarantee you, I can promise you right now, if they haven't done it already, they're going to do something where the everyday veterans can go meet this guy. They're not going to not do that, so fine, but to charge $200.
Oh, it's going to be the same group that goes to everything. We both already know this.
Of course it will. You might get a dozen other veterans that might go and be like, oh, I'm going to meet this. But who do you know, honestly, like veterans that we know, everyday veterans that we see at school or stuff, that's going to say, damn, I need to go to this and meet this guy. We see things as like
the guys who haven't, the people who haven't given up the military yet and haven't accepted that it's done. It's over.
Well, you know, that's why I think the main reason why I think I'm being unfriended and deleted is the fact, you know, somebody recently told me too in a message, well, since you've disowned your military past, I didn't disown shit. I'm just not waking up every day walking around pretending like I'm still in. Man, I don't have my entire Army history and stickers behind my truck window, so everywhere I drive, I see that shit. I'm done, dude. There's nothing in my house right now. Maybe a couple pictures. I don't have my whole house done up like I'm still in the military, dude. Like, I don't wear the cargo pants. I don't got the beard. I don't fucking, you know, I'm not in that culture, dude, anymore. I'm moved on. You've moved on. And those are the people who will go to this. I just don't see the point in charging $200 for something, man.
It's like political fundraiser money.
It's the exact same thing. It's the same
No,
concept.
but I mean, see Senator so-and-so speak.
Right.
Like, you know, that's like...
I don't know, man. It just, and so I question that. And then they're like, well, 100% of this is going to this organization. 100% of the cost. I'm like, okay, great. I hope it does well and that this money gets put to good use. But still, you're missing the whole point. They can't even fathom. You see, the problem is that they can't understand my problem with it. Is because I'm on the outside now. I'm on the outside looking in, and I'm like, hey, man, What event did we ever throw together that we charged $200 to hear our story told? They're like, oh, well, we had the event at the fairgrounds every year. Yeah, but that's different. That's different. People are going there for entertainment, music, different booths, different vendors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's a little different.
It's not.
They're not your.
Cost you $8 to get in.
Well, I don't. I think.
No, I mean to get in a fair.
Well, I don't know. I
It
forget
was
how
like
much.
$10 for people who aren't veterans.
But
Right.
but still, that's still different. You're missing the point. And they just can't understand why I questioned it. And again, this has got nothing against this guy. I don't want to be sitting on my couch and have a red dot showing my chest and fucking take me out. You know what I mean? But it's nothing against him. I respect him. I interviewed him. He's a great guy. A fucking amazing story. We have the story on the podcast. I mean, on the file you got. I don't see the point in charging $200, man. And you see it happen with Wounded Warrior Project. You see it happen with fucking. We're gonna go over a little bit today. Is that cool? You see it happen with Wounded Warrior Project, and you see it happen with these big organizations, man. It seems like they're doomed once they get to a certain point.
Right.
You know?
Well, I mean, that kind of takes us to the whole 22 a day, where they kind of write off that.
So let's get into the 22 a day real quick. And this is like, because I'm done talking about this shit, and I think I've beat that horse to death. 22 a day, man. Those of you guys who don't know, and if you don't know, you must be under a fucking rock. As of now, supposedly going across all across America, there's all kinds of silky walks for awareness. There's all kinds of a new push-up challenge.
Well, we held one.
We did
one.
Yeah, we did a silky hike. I did it with the local veteran here, and you and I were involved in that, and we put that on. That was cool, and about 34 good dudes showed up. And right now, just like the ice bucket challenge, the thing that everyone's doing is the 22 a day push-up challenge. I did 22 a day because 22 veterans commit suicide each day, and I challenge this person. And then, okay, cool. However, it's flawed. It's flawed. It's flawed numbers. Okay, this is coming from a Washington Post article, February 4th, 2015. I'm going to read this to you. Statistics say there are 22 veterans suicide each day, or more than 8,000 when multiplied by the number of days in a year. Okay, it's widely cited figure in reference to veteran suicide. The facts in big, bold letters. This statistic comes from the VA's 2012 data report, which is highlighted. You can click on it. I have it open right here, which analyzed death certificates from 21 states. From 1999, so before 9/11, Afghanistan and Iraq, to 2011. The report calculated a percentage of suicides identified with veterans out of all suicides in death certificates from the 21 states during the projected period, which turned out to be 22%. By point of reference, about 13% of U.S. adults are veterans, according to a 2012 Gallup poll. All right. Then the report applied that percentage against the number of suicides in the U.S. in a given year, approximately 38,000. All right. Divided by the number of days in a year, then the report came up with 22 suicides a day. Okay, so in short, this 22 a day nonsense is based off of a fucking 2012 study by the VA of all, because the VA is just perfect, right? You're going to take a study conducted by the fucking VA as, case in reference.
Well, 21 states, too, out of 50.
Yeah,
right?
Dude, not even half the states in the union. And so 21 states submitted this, and they're running their research off of this. And all I did was question it and say, this is stupid. And then, you know what? For a challenge that is
nobody's going to do 105 push-ups a day. That's what the numbers break down to, basically, at 38,000 a year.
Well, you have 22 a day, and then you have these organizations who are basing their whole mission off of, hey, we want to stop.
104.1. I mean, that just sucks, dude. I mean, the numbers are ridiculous.
Yeah, so you have these organizations who are just basing their whole service
right.
off of stopping 22 a day.
Well, look at the last event that they held. Hold your thought. I don't want to interrupt. Remember the last event we had at the fairgrounds?
Yeah.
They had that. We had a huge thing set up with 8,000 heads.
The amount per month.
Per month, right?
Yeah.
So I don't even whatever it was.
Huge. It's a little over 600.
It was like this big thing that we built, and it was headstones numbered from 1 to whatever. It was like 1 to
600 something.
600 something.
Yeah.
They're using that, and then these organizations are running this false information.
Well, if you look at it, it's the majority of them are veterans from before the invasion of Afghanistan.
Yeah, it says
before
right
we
here.
invaded Afghanistan.
1999, dude.
Yeah, so you have these, like I said, these organizations who are basing their whole service off of it, and then they only help post 9/11 veterans. Or
Right.
And the study shows there's one post 9/11 veteran committing suicide a day.
One.
Just one. Yeah, that's still too high.
No, one
But
is too high. And see,
that's
you know
what I'm saying.
that's going to be their rebuttal. You know that, right?
Yeah,
Their rebuttal is going to be like that. We don't care about veteran suicide. Me, somebody who's lost 4 brothers. Okay,
Hey,
you got no-
I've had. I got a
Exactly.
call when I got out. Like, hey,
Yeah.
one of your sailors.
Yeah, exactly. So we do care. We just don't want to see inaccuracy because what happens when the public catches on to this and they're like, "Fuck
Well,
that."
you already
that's
have.
bullshit.
We talk about this organization we worked for. You already had other veteran organizations in town who didn't like them because they wouldn't help them out.
Right.
The Vietnam era vets couldn't get any help.
I remember that happened once
Yeah.
at an event. A guy came up to me and you and was like, "Hey, you guys don't help Vietnam
Yeah,
vets." And
Vietnam era vets couldn't get any help, but we use a statistic that's actually
based
based
of
on these
Vietnam
guys that are
That's stupid.
Pre your era.
pre our era.
It makes no sense.
And we base a whole nonprofit off of post 9/11 veterans when only one a day. Yes, I agree, too much, but still, I mean, just get the number straight.
Here's another one that I know a lot of guys read. OAFnation.com. This is like a what is it? Like a vet
It's a bunch of
a vet
bunch of
blog.
group guys, a bunch of special forces guys who
created a website with
Yeah.
like news and stories, and they even go on, man. Look, don't kid yourself. When someone thinks veteran suicide in 2016 is dead center of the global war on terrorism, don't fall for it. Like they're even diving into it. They're quoting the same study.
yeah, same
You know?
one.
It's ridiculous, man. And that is all I did. See, so I questioned an event, and then I questioned this 22-a-day suicide nonsense, and it's like suddenly when you go against the grain, it's like you're a fucking terrorist, dude. You're now ISIS because you are going against everything that they're saying, and you're like fucking Neo leaving the Matrix. You're now, the agents are after you. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Yeah.
you're going to be criticized, and all the machines are coming after you. All the robots are going to come after you because you dare to question things, man. And, it's not that we don't care. It's not that we don't want to see organizations fall apart. I don't want that.
No, I care. I still point veterans in their direction.
So do I.
I take care of any veteran that comes to me. I point them anywhere I know.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that I do that. But, God forbid, coming to the table and actually, fixing some issues and being, hey, maybe we should make sure our, some of the people associated with us are, I don't know, maybe not fucking going out. Or maybe some of our events shouldn't be focused on alcohol, because how many veterans do you know that have had mental issues and that, use alcohol as a self-medication?
Well, wasn't that silky walk like almost like a bar crawl to a point?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's what it was. And that is where the difference comes, because that particular person who I did the Silky Walk in is somebody who is another veteran who is like, wants to work outside organization. But you see,
Right.
we knew when we organized that we weren't going to get veterans to come if we didn't do a bar crawl.
So
it's like
it's
this
veteran
this-
culture.
It's this,
Right.
the military.
it's this conundrum. It's like, fuck, dude.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things, and shit, I can't get 4 of my friends together and not say we're not going to buy a fucking case of beer or we're going to sit around and just stare at each other, I mean, that's...
right.
And I don't expect anybody to just quit drinking like I did. Trust me, that shit ain't easy, man. This shit is a nightmare. But at the same time, it's working for me. See, and that's the thing, dude. It's working for me. If it's working for me, who says it can't work for somebody else? But, I can't go to fucking meet and greets that are at breweries, man. I can't go to this function that's at a brewery or at, let's come have some drinks. I can't do that, dude.
Right.
I just can't.
I agree.
Well,
So-
I mean, and with the 22-a-day thing and the suicides and all that, I don't see the point of shunning and all the back-talking people who have left a group or whatever that could alienate people that have left who have a differing of opinion, because you may kick up that number 1 slot when you alienate somebody like that. You can't tell me that you care about somebody and that you're caring for all these people and then you alienate them and do all the shit to them.
Yeah, you alienate a person.
Right.
Of that,
Or
of
like-
that demographic.
The retired sergeant major texts me and he's like, I seem to recall a time where you needed Wounded Heroes Fund. Yeah, man, I needed friends.
See, they can
I
say
need-
that to you,
I needed
but
support. I needed that.
what are they going to say to me? I never asked for help.
Right.
I never asked for anything from them.
Yeah, you never
They-
did. Yeah, it's true.
I got introduced to one of them one day. They said, hey, we need a guy who knows how to work on computers. All right, sign me up. At one point, a member on their board told me I was the only asset they had. And I don't even think he has that much to do with them anymore. When we were there, he had completely separated himself from them. But he came to me one day and said, hey, I don't know why they don't give you this job. You're the only asset they have right now.
Yeah.
And
I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful. Fuck, I don't know what I got to do to show these people, man. I am grateful. And you know what? I have some people who, even though all this shit's going down and there's a problem with the actual, I think honestly there's an issue, man. I think everyone should do a quick timeout, a quick short halt, like we called it in the military, and assess everything and do an AAR, a fucking after action review, and figure out, okay, what's this person's problem? What's this person's problem? Hey, you want to be at work today? We're not calling you. You want to come to shooting arrangements that, but we're not getting back to you. Fix the fucking problem, man, so that you can continue to do good. I'm upset that, I had to say, hey, delete me, and people did. What's funny is one of these guys had a baby shower, and it was a co-ed baby shower, you know what I mean? And it's like, who the fuck wants to go to one of those? But I did, when the rest of the brothers, quote unquote, didn't. Well, like, what the fuck is that? Like, come on, man.
Your son's baptism.
Yeah, my son's baptism.
You invited everyone.
I invited
everyone that we both considered brothers and stuff, and
you showed up.
I'm the only one that showed.
Yeah, exactly. One went to my grandpa's funeral, like, okay, thank you, but still, the baptism, bro, it's the same thing. It's like, if it's not cool, if it's not like an alcohol-related function,
right,
it is what it is, and it's just, whatever, man. You're not helping the problem. You're not by having all your events, surrounded by alcohol, and by promoting your meet and greets at breweries, you're not helping the problem, man. And they do it on, like, weeknights.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You do it on weeknights. Like, you're telling veterans who work and go to school to come by on a weeknight, have some beers, drink with us, meet and greet. I mean, come on, dude. Do I got to be the one to really say that? Like, that's fucking wrong. This episode was kind of something that Jordan and I have been talking for a while about doing, because we have issues, we have problems, and we want to be heard. Our voices deserve to be heard. He earned it, I earned it.
Well, we're not the only ones either. There are other people coming out to you and I that are...
We're speaking for them people.
Yeah.
But they're going to come out and be like, we want names. Well, we'll get you those
names.
They
did the same thing to me. I brought concerns from within the veteran community when I got promoted there. I call it promotion from work study to actually full-time employee. There were people in the veteran community, someone you're really close to, that came out and said, well, yeah, the guy who's working there, not so great of a guy. Mm-hmm. And they wanted names. I didn't name them. Well, yeah. I just let them know, and the minute I let them know, they got angry about it.
Well, and they want names, and it's like, well, dude, these veterans don't. Who the fuck wants to be the veteran to come out and say, yeah, I got a problem with something against this organization who does so much local?
Right, exactly.
Nobody wants to, but see, I'm dumb enough to do it because I don't give a fuck.
Right there with you.
You know what I mean? Me and you don't care. Like, we all want the same thing. We all want to help each other, but when there becomes a difference of opinion, don't make it to where because you got the money, you got the power, you're rubbing elbows with congressmen and you're friends with these rich people and you can call the news whenever you want and go on TV. Just because you have that kind of pull doesn't mean you're right 100% of the time. And that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so. Anyways, dude. Wow, Randy, dude, I owe you a huge... I guess thank you, because you fucking sat through this whole thing. Because I asked him, dude, I said, hey, man, I got to get this shit out, man. Do you mind?
The whole point of this show was to get you away from things.
Well, this is my way.
And, this is your parachute or whatever and what needs to be done. And the whole point is what we've done is we've always tried to shine light in different places,
Yeah, and that's what we're doing.
And I'm checking hockey scores and shit anyway, so go ahead, do it.
I don't wish any bad intentions on anybody. I just would really like it if things that I think we are hearing about and things that we see can get changed, man, and to maybe help serve a different cause. They have these veteran collaboratives in town, and they talk about certain things like suicide rates and everything, but, what is actually, take a moment, take 2 steps back and look and see what is really going on. What is really happening? Because didn't we just lose last year 2 veterans to suicide, local veterans? But they're like 1 or 2.
Something like that.
1 or 2. Let's just say 1. But hopefully there wasn't 2. But it's happening locally. I get phone calls all the time from dudes who are like, "Hey man, you up? Yeah man, what's up, dude? Hey, I appreciate how you don't drink and stuff, man. I wish I could." And I'll talk to guys, man, because that's what we do. I'm not gonna wake up every morning of my life, dude, and imagine that I'm wearing this invisible fucking uniform and that I'm still in and that I'm a veteran first. And a husband and a father second, dude. Those days are gone. So I'm going to continue to use my platform to call bullshit when I see it on anything. If I don't like the way Carl's Jr. are cooking their fucking burgers, rest assured, I'm going to be talking about it. And that is what it is, man. So if you take it the wrong way, I'm sorry. Apparently there's going to be some problems with each other, and that's good. But you got to really understand what the real problem is before it affects somebody you know. God forbid, dude, that somebody in this crowd goes through something and gets to a point where they feel like harming themselves. What are they going to do at that point? You know what's going to happen? Because in the military, you all know, Anyone who served a day in the military, you know how the military works. Changes aren't made until something's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, changes aren't made until something's fucked up. And what are they going to do locally if one of the veterans highly involved in these groups, whether it's a marriage problem or whether it's
what about a drunk driving accident?
a drunk driving accident? Oh, dude, I went driving with one of these guys leaving a brewery, went to his house afterwards. He pulls out a fucking Glock and starts shooting his gun out down Taft Highway. And at the time, I'm like, this motherfucker
Pretty
for
high
real?
up in their chain of command
Pretty
right now,
high up
too.
in their chain of command. And he's just shooting fucking rounds off on Taft
Guy
Highway.
knows how to fucking party. No.
Dude, I mean, at the time, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, this is fucking
Right.
cool. What happens if, I don't know, one of those bullets falls down and hits a child in their bed while they're sleeping? I mean, I don't know if the ballistics can do that, but, I mean, what if a fucking dude's going to take his trash out at midnight and all of a sudden a round falls out the goddamn sky and kills him? And you hear on the fucking news the next morning, yeah, this happened. I mean, come on, man.
Right.
And these are just little examples.
Well, I mean, just even if nothing that major happened, but if you just got pulled over and there's a blurb in the newspaper, that's affecting, if they think a Facebook post or something is going to affect the bottom line, I'm pretty sure, some
Driving
dude
fucking-
playing Yosemite Sam going down the middle of the...
You know what I mean? And this is just real shit. This is real talk. And I hate to use that on a podcast format because all the douchebags that use that. Yeah, my cussing's suddenly bad, but this kind of behavior isn't. That's all we're saying, man, is that let's just fucking be real with each other for a minute and let's really see what the problem is. It's going to take something like that happening before they're like, man, maybe we shouldn't be doing all this stuff at breweries, or maybe we shouldn't be encouraging drinking.
Well, let's hope they take it that way. Let's hope they don't just take it as a personal attack. Let's hope they say, hey, you know what? Maybe we did act this way. Maybe we did do these things. And maybe they try to make some changes.
Who knows? I think they're going to, because they're so defensive. It's in veterans' nature to be defensive and be like, roll your sleeves up and let's start defending each other. When you're a veteran and you have a group or a groups that you're involved in, and something gets said against them, you want to immediately go to the defense because that's what we do as veterans is defend each other. But
Right.
But I hope they don't take that because, like I said, man, they're a good organization. They help me out, and I mean good because they do good. I mean,
Right, exactly.
They help guys out and females out. They're there for veterans, and a lot of good has come out of that place. But before you start labeling people and wanting to say this, that, or the other. I mean, one of the guys just told me last week when I thought we squashed our beef, I thought it was over with. He said, look, man, things are changing. Things are changing. Things are different now. Now that we're making changes. But yet, I go in Bakersfield Veterans, which is a Facebook page that some of us started, and I say goodbye, essentially. It's a positive post. I said, hey, look, I'm out. I'm trying to get past this veteran thing and move on with my life. I appreciate everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. Whatever, And this same guy I talked to posts a picture of an emoji laughing and then says, bye, Felicia, like it's a joke. Now, he says, oh, you know how we joke. Dude, I ain't talked to you in months, man. Or,
Right.
I ain't hung out with you like this in months, and yet I'm supposed to take it like that? No, it wasn't, dude. You were fucking being a smartass, man. You're being a fucking smartass and laughing me off. So you're laughing a dude off who wants to better himself and make the changes to make positive changes in his life. Are those the changes you're making over there, dude? Are those the changes that's going on that you're talking about?
Well, it's
I
kinda
mean,
like-
what changes happened? Nothing's changed. They brought a program to their organization.
I don't know. I guess the way they're structured. I don't know. I don't. None of my business. I really don't care. But he said they're making changes, and I'm like, okay, well, going off what I said on that other episode about if you don't like me, delete me, and it's like, okay, well, and then you're laughing at me on a fucking Facebook group and just fucking playing me off like I'm some kind of punk.
Right.
Veterans are still dying. This isn't. Oh, and I'm being divisive. Is like what they're saying is that I'm being divisive. It should be veterans together. Well, yeah, that's the whole point of what I'm trying to
it
say.
should be veterans together, but even that's against their own bylaws.
But not
Veterans
even like
together,
the
they don't
attempt.
help all veterans. They help one demographic of veterans.
Iraq
and-
and
and-
Afghanistan.
and-
You're
turn
making
off
an
a-
attempt to make yourself that you think's going to make you feel better, right? So that attempt should be good enough for them. Like if you think that's what's going to make you feel better, it's like what's A's success rate? 10%.
A.
Right.
But the attempt is A's. They will quote their own stats about 10%. They say is about the success rate, but that attempt is worth it if you think that's what's going to make you better, and if it actually does work, if it sticks that time.
I hate that it has to be like this, and I'm the one that I guess caused it. Fine, I'll fucking wear that hat. I don't care, but let's make some good come out of this. There's veterans out there who want to be a part of things and who aren't. You know, what was sad, dude, is that there's some goofy veterans out there, man. There's some really goofy veterans walking around, and they might have been something not cool in the military, but, you know, they still served, and I was that guy, man, that I'll openly admit, for a long time, I was like, if you're not infantry, if you're not a grunt, you know, you ain't shit, and you're just a pogue. I was that guy for a long time. You know, I'd laugh at these goofy veterans I'd come across, and I'd be like, man, who is this guy? But, you know, you looking in retrospect, and I sit here today 100% honest with this, like, I don't think like that anymore, man. I want to say names so bad, dude. I can't, man. I can't.
I'm right there with you.
I can't. But, yeah, this guy's a goofball, or this guy likes to do yoga poses on mountaintops, and this guy likes to go on hikes with other veterans and do fucking handstands. That's weird, dude. Like, if I'm a dude hiking through the mountains with 8 other dudes, and this guy is, hey, bro, take a picture of me while I do this fucking Yamaste pose. That's weird. That's weird.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, dude, like, that's fucking weird. I'm sorry. But that doesn't mean stop inviting that guy to places. That doesn't mean, hey, dude, this guy can't be coming on this with us. We'd rather one of the brothers come. That you can't be like that. You really can't. And that's a word of advice. That yoga shit was funny. I remember when I saw that, dude, I'm like, is this dude for real? Fucking handstands on the top of a mountain. But, you know, it's funny. We laugh at it, but, I mean, it's a problem that people are starting to notice. And I'm not blowing smoke. Jordan's not blowing smoke. That shit's real.
Wish I was. I mean,
me too. What bothers me is that it's affecting people's marriages that work there. Maybe somebody can't quit because that money is important. They need that money, you know? And
right.
Maybe this particular person can't quit that job because that money is relied upon. It's a motherfucker to get a job out there. Dude, I don't want to be looking for a job if I needed to. Fuck that.
I'm trying.
Yeah, dude.
Can't find shit.
No. Dude. And so, okay, so I could imagine you come home and your spouse is like, what the fuck? Well, you know, we had to go do this thing, and it's, you know, how much did you drink tonight? Or, you know, I mean, why do they want you to go drink at this? I can imagine the kind of stress that puts on a marriage. But I can imagine, you know what I mean? Like,
Happy Mother's Day.
Next Sunday.
Is it this?
It's Sunday.
Yeah, on Sunday.
This Sunday?
Yeah.
Man,
Eight.
What are you doing?
That's next show.
What are you doing for your mom?
I sent her a card.
What are you doing?
I got to figure it out still.
Yeah, me too.
Money's a little tight.
Me too.
VA didn't pay me this month.
Me too. My wife's going to take her mom to see a movie. There's like a Mother's Day movie, but
local brewery and drink with her.
Mom, let's go drink. I don't know, man. Shit. My mom's hard to buy for, too. Last closing statement. For those of you who are still listening and engaged in this organization and with the other organizations tied to them, we said some things that are like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that. And I'm pretty sure if you haven't pressed stop, if you're still listening, you're pretty upset right now. Well, you know what? I want you to ask yourselves how I felt when I was told that I couldn't be a part of a brotherhood that I needed. Where was the longevity in civilian life and saying, hey, this guy's going through something. Rather than kick him to the curb, let's actually try and help him. But instead I was treated differently. Or how about the times when I was asked to cover up my hair? Maybe my expressing myself with my mohawks and my crazy red hair, maybe that makes me happy. But I was asked to do it so that you look good. How about when I questioned something and I was immediately chastised for it and then kicked off my friend's campaign? Did you ever ask yourself how much that campaign meant to me? Helping him? No, it didn't matter about me even being a part of it. What mattered to me is that I was doing something productive that kept my head off of drinking, kept me busy. And I lost a mentor and a friend. It strained relationships. So think about how I felt about that. How did Jordan feel when they fired him? You fired him over something that was, what, dude, ridiculous. I mean, you know,
conflicting personality.
Conflicting personality because he didn't want to go drink after work.
Well, that was part of it. That I wasn't part of the clique. I could say that.
Because he just wanted to do his job and go home. Go to the gym. He's a massive guy. He likes to lift weights. He's huge. Maybe drinking all that alcohol and eating bar food didn't go with his diet. You ever think about that? So before you go start pointing fingers at us, take a good look in the mirror. Okay? Because the last thing we need is to hear of a local veteran dying and then have to go back and look at it months down the road. The time's now. People are still dying. Whether it's 1, 100, or fucking 22. All right, man, Jordan. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Anytime, man.
We'll see what kind of chaos comes off of this.
Can't wait.
All right, guys. It's the Chadman and Randy Show. Out.